Williams. Welcome to Make a Difference Day 2013. I am honored to be chosen to speak to you this morning, and it is humbling that some are inspired by me. I am a stage 4 metastatic breast cancer survivor, and I would like to dedicate this speech to all who are fighting cancer, those who are caring for someone who has cancer, and those who have lost someone to that disease. There's a point in everyone's life when we need to lean on friends or even be carried. I've been there. The opposite is also true. As neighbors, classmates, colleagues, teammates, and family, there are times when we can make a difference simply by being there. Maybe you think, I'm too young to help. I'm not smart enough to make a difference. I don't have a huge creative project idea. I am here to tell you, you can make a difference. The other little details of your day aren't going to be a big deal in 2 weeks, but caring for someone will be a big deal every day. Don't ever be too busy for kindness. I would like to share my story with you. Some of you may know parts of this journey. Others may be clueless as to what I'm about to say. Not too long ago, I too was a middle schooler. I was a cheerleader, played field hockey, softball, and the French horn. I know what you're thinking. Sweet uniforms. Mrs. Muller, where can we get those clothes? You cannot afford them, they're priceless. I hope one day you're brave enough to share your middle school pictures with a crowd of 700. When I was a freshman in college, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She battled for 21 years. My dad was diagnosed with a rare type of cancer and battled for 1 month. Both of my parents died of cancer in 2004, almost 10 years ago. Some of you have lost loved ones, and my heart goes out to you. My parents were role models to me. They did not complain. They always had events and outings to look forward to, and they always helped their neighbors. They babysat kids, gave out garden vegetables, made meals, visited the sick, wrote notes and cards to everyone, and shoveled driveways. When my mom was too sick to go outside, my dad would go out in the snow and stomp out a big heart that said, I love you, or the number of years they were married. Then Mom could see his artwork from the window without ever having to leave the warmth of their home. Do you think that made a difference in her day? You betcha. In the year 2001, I began teaching wellness in this very building, Greencastle High School. It was the end of that school year, in May of 2002, that I was first diagnosed with breast cancer. My doctor called to tell me it was cancer, and my husband and I drove to her the next morning to work out a plan. Here's a quote I love. When something bad happens, you have 3 choices. You can either let it define you, let it destroy you, or you can let it strengthen you. I have chosen to let it strengthen me, and I gain more strength as I meet others who are battling. I had surgery, had my lymph nodes tested, at that time it had not spread, and 2 rounds of chemotherapy lasting 6 months. My hair fell out, as it does with all breast cancer chemo. I told my high school classes what would happen, but they were still shocked when they saw me with no hair. Kids that were normally pretty rowdy suddenly got very quiet around me. I had 33 radiation treatments, had genetic testing done at Johns Hopkins, more surgery, medications, scans, blood work, MRIs, checkups, and participated in a clinical trial. I didn't miss much school at that time, but everyone was so understanding and wonderful to me. When you're going through chemo, sometimes you get so tired, you feel like a truck ran over you. That hit me once while I was teaching at the high school that spring. I walked to the office to ask the woman in charge of substitutes if I could please get a sub for the rest of the day, because I didn't think I would have the energy to finish the day. There were no subs available, so I walked back to the gym dejected. No sooner had I sat down, there arrived Mrs. Shuey and Miss Dieter, principals at the high school at that time. They said all would be taken care of, they would cover my classes, and did I need a ride home? It was like the Incredibles had come to save the day, and I just cried. Did that make a difference to me? It certainly did. I think I went on to sleep for 36 straight hours that time. To this day, when I see Mrs. Shuey, I see this. Maybe you will see that too. I continued to get checkups and take medications and felt very healthy until February of 2012, nearing my 10th cancerversary. That's a word for the anniversary of your cancer diagnosis. When the 8th graders, sitting in the middle here, were sitting where the 6th graders are now, I had to leave GAMS in a wheelchair with so much hip pain I couldn't take another step. The MRI revealed that I had in fact broken my hip, a stress fracture. The bone was weakened due to cancer throughout my hip and leg. It was devastating to hear that news again. You have cancer. My husband and I didn't have too much time to cry, as we had to quickly pack our bags and head to Geisinger, where I would have a total hip replacement performed by one of only 6 orthopedic oncologists in the state of Pennsylvania. We learned that my breast cancer from 10 years ago had spread to my bones, lung, and even a spot on my scalp. This is stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. There is no cure, but I can be treated. My mother went through similar conditions, so I had her to look to as an example. She always had a positive attitude as a cancer survivor. I would need to be out of school for about 3 months, but I was determined to come back before the end of the year. I went from being in a wheelchair to a walker, to crutches, and then a cane. Now let me tell you how GAMS made a difference in my recovery. My awesome wellness department drove 3 hours to visit me in the hospital. The nurses had to give me a bigger room for all my visitors and flowers. Mr. Herman called before my surgery with words of encouragement. I was holding the phone and quiet for a long time. And my husband asked if he should take the phone and hang up, and I said, "No, Mr. Herman is still giving me words of encouragement." Big surprise. What also made a huge difference to me. If I could have broadcast his words throughout Geisinger Medical Center, I would have. Mr. Layton took care of our dog Dexter when we were at Geisinger for days. Mr. Eby told all the wellness classes what was happening with me, which was not an easy task. And when I got home, Mrs. Barkdahl came to visit and washed my hair when I was too weak. To this day, they all still bring their families to visit me. And how can baby Greer Barkdahl not cheer you up? Mrs. Power's homeroom sold pink bracelets that read, "Mrs. Muller, Ultimate Fighter." Do you know how inspiring it is to see people still wearing them? My family, students, teachers, and administrators. I know for a fact that the bracelets made their way to Arkansas, Tennessee, Maryland, South Carolina, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Maine, Colorado, Georgia, and James Buchanan, where my son Jake sold some. tell me later if they made it to a state that I wasn't aware of. My husband's brother and wife hopped into action by buying my older son a plane ticket home. He was a sophomore in college in Tennessee at the time. It seems even the nurses were in on the surprise as they took their good old time discharging me from the hospital. When I finally opened my eyes in the car on the way home, we were at the Harrisburg airport picking him up, and I held his hand the rest of the way home. That absolutely made my day. Everyone should be so blessed to have an army of support. Besides my family, friends, church, and neighbors who came and cleaned my house while I was hospitalized, I have a built-in network of 700 plus middle school students and staff. You may recognize these two who brought me a meal in style. You sent me cards, gifts, flowers, balloons, meals, phone calls, gift cards. Does that make a difference or what? I still have all the cards people sent me and look through them now and then if I'm feeling down. One student drew a picture of me and cancer on a track, and I was beating cancer. Mind you, I couldn't walk at the time, but I was way ahead. I'm not going to be able to list everyone individually and the great difference they made, but I think you get the idea that the little things count and absolutely everyone can make a difference. You inspire me and you don't even know it. I draw strength from a former student bravely going in for her 15th surgery. Kids offering to carry stuff for me. Students finishing the mile run only to run 1 or 2 more laps to encourage others to finish. People are leaning on you and you don't even realize it. Don't let anyone or anything dull your sparkle. My husband, Carl, Mr. Muller, has been my rock, my crazy glue, and my silly putty, depending on what I need at the time. He's been to every appointment, surgery, and scan with me, waits on me when I feel sick, and plans fun things when I feel great. He takes phone calls, schedules visitors, and gets me awesome gifts. This fall he got us tickets to a Florida-Georgia Line concert. That's right, be jealous. This is when he, A, does not like loud noise, B, does not like crowds, and C, does not like country music. I know, unbelievable, right? The point is, he was making my day, not his. Making a difference is not always convenient or doing things you love. It's about helping others and making their day. Once I told him I could eat a popsicle, and he came home with 8 boxes. I hope you are all blessed to one day find someone who will be there for you no matter what, love you unconditionally, and make a positive difference in your life. He is legit, and he is here. He is sitting in the back, and I'd love for you to give him a round of applause for this. Into one of these. Head nod, but I was ecstatic to be able to walk a lap at 3 different relay events that May. What a welcoming committee we had at the Greencastle track with everyone wearing I Walk for Mrs. Muller shirts. Even my cancer doctor or oncologist walked laps. At last year's relay, my intern, Miss Monken, was there with the whole high school softball team holding signs of support. They had to have bought the glitter at Sam's Club, but how encouraging for all the walkers. We walked relay laps during wellness class and started writing down all the names of those we walked for, those who have died, those who are fighting, and those who are cured. I just remember having to make this phone call. Mr. Kerfman, we're going to need more poster board. Excuse me for using a sports analogy, but I'm a wellness teacher, so that's what you get. You have probably had a coach or a wellness teacher say to you, if the ball comes to you, what will you do with it? I'm talking baseball and softball. You're the shortstop, the batter is up. You should be saying to yourself, if the ball comes to me, will I throw it to first? Will I throw it to second? Will I throw it to third? Do I have to tag the runner? Is a double play possible? The same questions could be asked in field hockey, basketball, soccer, you name it, just different situations. I want to tell you that in life, it's not if the ball comes to you, but when. And the ball will come to you several times a day. What will you do? When you come out of the lunch line and see someone sitting by themselves, will you walk by or sit down and strike up a conversation? When someone drops all their books in the hallway, will you stand and laugh or will you help pick them up? You might even enjoy a laugh with the person. When your elderly neighbor is having trouble getting around, do you ignore them? Or stop and pull some weeds and help carry their groceries in? We never really know what's going on in someone's life. I may have surprised you this morning with my story. We don't wear signs that say, my grandma can't remember who I am. My dad is in jail. My mom lost her job. My sister has a drug problem. My brother was just diagnosed with cancer. My dog died last night. Be gentle with each other. If you learn that someone is going through some tough times, do you walk away muttering, I don't know what to say? Or give a hug and say, I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you. I've got your back. The most powerful words in any language. 2 4-word phrases that mean so much. I'm here for you, and I've got your back. Does it get any better than that? I'm going to interrupt my random acts of kindness speech with a random act of kindness. Would Mrs. Barkdahl please come up here? Today. Let's give her a round of applause. Remember when I lost my hair the first time I went through cancer? Both my boys, Josh and Jake, and my husband shaved their heads to show their support for me. They didn't have to have the right words or pay a great deal of money to make a difference. But I knew they had my back, and that they were there, and still are, here for me. massage whenever she visits, no matter what time of day or how tired she is. You know my feet don't smell like roses after teaching wellness all day long. Does she make a difference? Absolutely, and it didn't cost a thing. Speaking of random acts of kindness, as my husband and I were finishing eating our lunch after one of my doctor's appointments, the waitress put our bill on the table but said it had already been paid. She said a woman stopped by, pointed to our table, and gave the waitress cash to take care of the bill. That made our day, and of course we paid it forward to our waitress with a big tip. Who was the secret donor? We've racked our brains and have our guesses, but we may never know for sure. I don't know if you've noticed, but your teachers don't just come in, teach, and leave. We are departments, teams, and have neighboring rooms, but we are also friends who are there to build each other up, help out, share good news, and help when the going gets tough. We send cards and flowers to each other in good times and bad. Enjoy special lunches with each other, work out and take Zumba classes together without laughing at each other. Your GAMP staff has volunteered at animal shelters, taken meals to homeless shelters, helped with Habitat for Humanity, and volunteered their time and run the Dash for Drew. Each year they donate prizes and gift cards to have a raffle to benefit our Relay for Life team. They walk laps, participate in dress down days, and eat at restaurants and Sweet Frog to support the cause. I got my calculator out this week and added up the amount of money our middle school team has raised the last 10 years that I've participated. The total was over $34,000. Some years we combined with the high school, and this past year we raised over $9,000, which was 6th place out of 70 teams. Our retired teachers don't just leave our school never to be seen again. They return to work in our courtyard, help out with the opening of school, organize data projects, and bring us treats. When I found out I would be out of school for 3 months, the spring of 2012, Mr. Barnes stepped up and said, "I'll captain the Relay for Life team this May. Don't worry about a thing." He went on to start a free throw competition in our gym to benefit our team, the Blue Gold Cancer Crusaders. Someone else paid it forward for that event. An anonymous donor paid for Mrs. Forrester and Mrs. Tenenis' class to participate. Awesome. Some kids spent $20 of their own money taking foul shots. Yes, that indeed made a difference. An 8th grade student in our school, Jalissa, trains seeing eye dogs to eventually be placed with visually disabled persons. How difficult would that be? Spend all that time with a fun puppy only to hand him or her over once they are trained. But what a difference she and her family are making. Mrs. Young helps rescue dogs and find them homes when the current home hasn't worked out for one reason or another. What a difference that makes, not only to the dog, but the human families involved. My homeroom, where are you 214? Claps every time one of our peeps is mentioned on the announcements. They share highlights of their games and concerts and great plays, scores, and times of their teammates. You can make a difference simply by telling someone to have a nice day. My friend Emma joined the volunteer crew for the Komen Race for the Cure, a 3-day breast cancer walk 60 miles long where she camped out in Washington, D.C. She raised thousands of dollars, helped with the course, refreshments, set up, tear down, and cheered on the thousands of participants. Her mother is a breast cancer survivor. She claimed, "This is more magical than Disney." Oh, and did I mention Emma is a 7th grader? It is very difficult to get through a day without high points or good stuff happening. My family plays Rosebud Thorn at the dinner table. Has anyone ever heard of that? Since both our sons are at college, it makes for a quiet dinner these days, but you can play it with 1 to 50 people. Take turns around the table telling your Rose, the best part of your day, Thorn, low part of the day, and Bud, what you're looking forward to tomorrow. My boys always started by saying, my Rose is this meal, just trying to get on my good side. Then they would list the tests they did well on, that they could dunk for the first time, a special event at school, a long paper that was finally written, someone else wanted to hire them to mow their lawn, etc., etc. Most times after you hear everyone's Rose and Bud, it's difficult to find a Thorn. Today, we have classes of students helping to make a difference in a variety of ways. Here's what you and your classmates are doing to make a difference. Supporting our overseas troops, working at the Environmental Center, bowling and skate-a-thons to benefit St. Jude's Children's Hospital, GA Max, Relay for Life, and Eli Englehart's Cancer Fund. Eli is a senior at our high school who is currently fighting Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's going through chemo right now. I just passed him in the hallway this morning and said hi. I see him at basketball open gyms, and that gives me strength. If you don't already know him, I hope you get to meet him one day. Today, we are also helping kids at the Franklin Learning Center, working with residents at Shook Home, Heritage Hills, and the Senior Center, cleaning up the Gettysburg battlefields, and working at Star Equestrian Horse Stables. Wow, what a list. But don't let it stop today. Making a difference is not a once and done event or a special day we carve out once a year. Let this be a springboard to bigger and better things. Make someone's day every day. Keep in touch with the senior citizens you work with today. Plan another outing to the stables to help clean up. Write to our soldiers overseas. Keep our courtyard in Tamanasacta looking great. Go mad. Make a difference. Little crazy eyes there. Be a friend to those in need. You will be making a difference, and you will feel better. Some of you already have huge hearts, but I'm reminded of the story, how the Grinch stole Christmas. Once he realized that Christmas came to the people, even without presents or feasts, the Grinch's heart grew, and he gave back everything he had stolen to celebrate with the community. Whether you are painting an 80-year-old woman's nails today, cleaning up horse poop, or raking leaves, I think your hearts will grow at least 3 sizes today. Don't let anyone or anything dull your sparkle. None of us know how long we have on this earth. That's not meant to be depressing, that's meant to be inspiring. We shouldn't be content to be basic or below basic about living life, no pun intended. But we should be proficient, better yet, advanced about living. Live each day to the fullest. Help your neighbor. Listen. Be there. Choose to be positive. Did you know that for every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness? Think about that. But instead, I rest when I need to, cry when I need to, take medicine when I need to, and ask students to tie my shoes when I can't reach them that day. I am so blessed to have family and friends to love and care for me, and a great school full of loving and talented kids and adults. So, the ball's in your court. It's here, whether you're ready or not. What will you do? How will you make a difference to your team, your classmates, your teachers and staff, your neighbors, and your family? Go make someone's day and have fun. Thank you.
That was the most appropriate response any of us could do, is to share our love for Mrs. Muller with that standing ovation. It just, I guess what I'd ask you to do at this point is just that you think about that, keep that in mind all day long as you get your opportunities today to make a difference. Because certainly, if anybody in this room has the right to be grumpy and selfish, it would probably be Mrs. Muller, and she is exactly opposite of that. She's just a lovely person. Why it's appropriate, we presented her some lovely flowers, and that's from all of you to Mrs. Muller. So let's do something else for Mrs. Muller today. Let's go on out there and make a huge positive difference. So let's give one more round of applause.